Okay, this is another case presentation, but the specific case is left out. It's called Genuine Fakes. Although I was fully trained, it was the 70s and I was in my early 30s. Several profoundly ill dissociative and psychotic patients were so tenaciously self-harmful that they inspired me to delve further into the literature on masochism in its larger sense. I wanted to know what really made these people tick, especially since standard psychodynamic explanations seem to be lacking. I also surveyed the literature on what was then called multiple personality disorder, which can mimic almost any other mental illness. Over the next several years, I developed a deeper understanding of conscious and unconscious functions and gratifications of self-harm within dissociative illnesses beyond the underlying functions of unconsciously repeating and repressing past traumatic situations. It turns out that the primary aim of this and many other mental illness is to soothe, protect, and aggrandize one's self. It evokes one's and others' attention, admiration, and pity in order to bask in the thrilling, coddling, weird, backwards, and self-aggrandizing spotlight of what I call negative grandiosity. Let me explain. Everyone wants to be the center of attention, to be special. This is a remnant of our instinctive and desperate screams during infancy for attention. Our cries ensure our very survival. Fast forward to adulthood. Positive and accomplished greatness is difficult, competitive, long and hard-earned, available only to the few. Negative, failure-ridden, self-defeating, and complaining, screaming, whining, and victimized stardom, on the other hand, is a cinch. It's available to anyone. It's effortless and instant, requiring no talent, skill, learning, work, patience, perseverance, or practice. It's an immature, lazy, and cowardly route to unearned and inflated self-esteem. Masochists are able to accomplish this negative grandiosity by unknowingly taking advantage of a whole host of all-or-nothing illusions that they and we have about life. These include illusions of perfection, purity, control, pure love, dependency, power, superiority, inferiority, beauty, revenge, and so on. These seem to be built into our very DNA. The therapeutic cure for us all is to let go of such unrealistic and utopian fantasies. We must settle for what life actually has to offer. These tasks involve what I call therapeutic disillusionment and deflation. I published these findings in my first book in 1988, Suffering from Illusion, The Secret Victory of Self-Defeat. The irony was that while dissociative disorders often result from cruelly imposed childhood abuse, nevertheless, and during adult years, it's the patients themselves who impose these afflictions. Patients become the actual imposters, actors, playwrights, directors, producers, and promoters of the entire and magnificent psychodrama. This insight that we're each responsible, often at unconscious levels, for the production of psychological and psychosomatic symptoms was discovered by early psychoanalysts who, incidentally, were also fascinated by dissociative patients. During the complex course of conducting in-depth psychotherapy, I found that dissociative identity disorder patients had a secret. No matter how convincingly and spectacularly regressed and deranged one of their young personalities might have been, their adult selves were present and watching. In effect, dissociative patients admitted that they were more or less faking their amnesia and split consciousness. This was astonishing. In truth, it was more complicated than that. Their production of separate personalities resulted from both deliberate and unconscious processes. The literature on dissociation described the appearance of a unique personality in some cases which they call the inner self-helper. It was said to work wisely and quietly behind the scenes to help out, organize, and coordinate the other alters. One of these inner self helpers appeared during 2 sessions with my first dissociative patient. In contrast with the other personalities, this alter was not regressed. It was mature, reserved, sane, profound, insightful, and wise. It claimed to have been there all along during all those adult regressions and even during early childhood abuses. This last claim runs counter to the known principles of psychological development. After all, infants and young children cannot possess already fully grown up and wise part-selves yet. Was this yet another elaborate and self-aggrandizing ruse? Undoubtedly, at least partially so. This inner self-helper didn't linger to answer my many questions. It had patiently abided it all without intervening. It was quiet, unassuming, and in the present moment. This was the finest betrayal of a higher self that this dissociative patient could muster. After all, she was a consummate actress whose principal aim was to fool herself. I was intrigued by this alter's apparent choice to not intervene on the ego's behalf. It took me years to begin to understand and accept this uncanny and enigmatic silence of the higher self within us all. During the course of successful therapy with dissociative patients, younger personalities gradually became less frightened, desperate, and distinct. Respecting their innate and robust healing processes, I avoided any effort to take charge and orchestrate their integration with the conscious ego. They finally made no further appearances. Patients taught me other invaluable secrets. Paramount among these was that patients of all types often don't accept or reveal the most profound truths about themselves or life to themselves or to their most trusted therapists until they face the full reality of their own death. Until then, in subtle ways and at conscious and unconscious levels, they're very busy manipulating themselves and us. They're still trying to get more from life than it has to offer. They often play this out to the very end. To this point, and in fact, the active imagination of one's own death is an ancient, traditional, powerful, and healing Buddhist meditation. Let's get back to non-intervention. Within our mostly unconscious congress of part-selves, the higher self allows the immature, impetuous, foolish, and grandiose conscious self, or ego, to loudly and dramatically play out its naive ideals, illusions, impulses, and objectives, even for an entire lifespan. Thereby it harmonizes with nature and allows the ego to learn life's most profound lessons the hard and experiential way through painful mistakes, failures, and losses. After all, higher selves don't intervene when troubled individuals repeatedly defeat, harm, and then even kill themselves. Witness this poem from Hafez from the 13th century. A mime stands upon a gallows for a crime he did not do. When given a last chance to speak, he remains true to his art. This is Olympic quality Buddhist detachment. The higher self knows that ultimate wisdom requires the humble and honest acceptance of mere and stark reality, of simply what is, whether it's just, healthy, or not. There's no easy way to embrace such a profound and non-judgmental realization. It usually requires the better part of half a century for those few who learn it. This healing insight does not happen while we still resort to any form of exaggeration, self-aggrandizement, rationalization, lying, posing, avoidance, or intoxication. We psychotherapists have only ordinary, messy, confusing, naked, and essentially unresolvable reality to peddle. There's no way we can use our teacup illusions to tidy up, embellish, and resolve our existence once and forever. Others have said that the three most important aspects of wisdom are acceptance, acceptance, and acceptance. I might add humility, especially the humble openness to further growth and learning throughout life. There is no magic, nor is there any hope for us insignificant humans to become anything close to amazing, important, or larger than life. We're each special amidst our ordinariness, that is. The external pursuits of accomplishment, advantage, and illusion distract us from life's most important task, that of looking within and coming into harmony with our higher self. The non-personified universe plays a giant trick on us, which I call the cosmic con game. Life presents us with a paradoxical struggle and then waits to see who among us can decipher it. In synchrony with this global deception are those many lies and rationalizations that we all tell ourselves and others in order to defend and promote our conscious self's unrealistically inflated self-image. Listening at multiple levels, I no longer take what I or others say or think at face value. Instead, I'm distracted by teeming numbers of infantile whims and goals of the unconscious, as well as by embedded metaphors and symbols interjected therein by our higher silent self. Ultimate wisdom is sneaky. It speaks in parables, riddles, puns, humor, and symptoms amidst the ever-messy, changing, and enigmatic nature of life. This leads us to the uncanny paradox that we humans are all genuine fakes or honest liars. This is because we come equipped with an unconscious mind. We continue to have immature and deceptive part-selves within, no matter how old, mature, accomplished, powerful, insightful, wise, and even enlightened we may become. No one makes it to that imaginary realm of fully realized beings. In the face of the multi-layered and unfathomable complexity of our unconscious minds, maybe there's nothing about us humans which is singular, pure, grand, genuine, or finished. Beneath our pain, suffering, and self-defeat, there's also a hidden opportunity. I call this calamortunity. Suffering is a window. It confronts us with the primitive and profound nature of our hidden inner congress. Thereby it gives us an opportunity to get the cosmic joke and become deeper and paradoxical. This uncommon and uncanny insight does not diminish the tragic and involuntary nature and extent of our share of pain and adversity, nor does it negate our lifelong need for growth and awakening. Perhaps dissociative patients are simply the most talented and committed actors among us. I integrate this paradox with an updated grasp of the neurophysiological mechanisms involved in dissociations, as well as with the array of more modern treatments, scans, and the like. Both physical and psychological realms of knowledge are true. As astrophysicists teach us, this is not a simple, linear either-or universe. It's an endlessly complex and poetic spiral of both and paradox. If we can decipher, embrace, and navigate within this enormous, genuine, fake cosmic con game, we can understand that at instantaneous, conscious, and unconscious levels, all our actions, thoughts, emotions, and fantasies arise from complex choices. Poets and sages have written about this multi-layered and multitasking phenomenon for centuries. This existential and paradoxical point of view is not pessimistic or unhappy. Rather, it's cynically optimistic and unreasonably happy. That is, it achieves a level of serenity which lies far beyond normal reason. It's both here and now and eternal. Maybe eternity itself hides within each ordinary present moment, kind of like those extra dimensions of reality lie enfolded within the four dimensions that we can perceive. Maybe wisdom allows us to reside predominantly in a non-magical here and now fifth dimension. These dissociative and other extreme types of individuals challenge our rather naive, linear, oversimplified, one-dimensional, idealistic, utopian, and magical illusions. In my advanced age, I find this engagement with deeper, enigmatic, mysterious, poetic, metaphorical, and even ineffable realities to be vastly enriching, illuminating, and comforting indeed. We'll stop there.